So I thought I'd do something a bit different this week. In one of the bands that I play in, the guys wanted to play a Beatles song called "And Your Birds Can Sing." Now, normally Beatles isn't that much of a technical challenge, but in this case, it's got harmonised guitar parts, and as I'm the only electric guitarist in the band, I've got to play both parts, which creates some significant challenges. So I thought what I'd do this week is just show you the arrangement that I came up with. I tried to keep it as similar as I could to the original, but obviously you have to make changes where you can. So let me play it through for you. So it's in two parts really. There's the first part which is mainly harmonised in thirds, and the second part is mainly sixths. But as you can see, it moves you all the way over the neck, so it's really quite technically challenging. But so what I've done is I've tabbed it out and I've put it in the description field, so just download that. It's probably worth downloading that as I go through it, because I don't want to go through it note for note. But in terms of the challenges, one of the big issues when you're doing something like this is when people are playing two independent guitar parts, you can be much more smooth in how you play. You can bend notes and things like that much more easily than you can when you're playing double stops like this. So what I'm trying to do all the time is to imply some of those things as best I can. So for example, if you look at the opening phrase, what I do is I start on the 9th fret. I'm playing that major third just there. What I do is I pull off to the next note and then play the next note, and then from here the same, I'm playing 3 notes again and I slide from the first 2. So I'm sliding from the 7th and 8th down to the 5th and 6th, and then I play a bar across the 4th, and then I pull off from 5 and 6 and then slide down to 2 and 3. So that hopefully gives you a kind of a flow where the first 2 notes are either a pull off or a slide, and then the third one's played in groups of 3, a bit like this. And then I continue down to the E and the G. Next 2 notes are the F sharp and the B, and I like to play that with a bar across on the 4th fret with my little finger. It's easier for me to do that, that's my preference. Then open E and B. And just here we've got a double bend, which is quite a fast little double bend, but what you're trying to do on the E strings, go from G, is make a semitone bend. So you're trying to get up to the A. And on the B string, you're trying to do a tone bend, so you're trying to get up to that F sharp. It's over with quite quickly, so if you miss the notes, as long as you're implying that, you can get away with it. And also it's kind of easier, it fits the strings as well, because it's harder to bend the E string any range. It's much harder to bend the E string than it is the B. So it kind of implies itself. It kind of works out that way anyway. Now in the original, this pair of notes is bent. You bend to these 2 notes, but again, this is, you'd be bending from the F sharp and the D, and that's too hard for me, so it's easier for me to just slide up to those. I don't do it, but you could. There is actually a little movement in the lower line there. I'm pulling off from here. All I'm doing is I'm pulling off on the E string. The notes are over with quickly, so I'm just trying to imply the movement. And the opening line would finish on an E. In the tabbed version, I'm playing the extended line. So we've just done, and this is where you start on a line which is mainly between the G string and the E string, and it's moving up and down in sixths this time. So you're on the 2nd fret. And now there's a kind of a trick or a good technique to know if you're not familiar with playing sixths between the G and the E string, and that is to keep your 2nd finger anchored. Use your 2nd finger on the G string for as long as you can, and you'll alternate between using your 3rd finger on the E string or your 1st finger on the E string. And this is really common in guitar players. You've heard these licks before. All I'm doing here is I'm keeping my 2nd finger in contact with the G string, and I'm using either my 2nd finger or my 3rd finger depending on where I am, what notes I want to play. So I'm doing exactly the same thing through most of the second part of this. So you can see when the 2 notes are on the same fret, I'm using my 3rd finger. And here, where I'm playing a C sharp and an A, I use my 1st finger. And this is the first time that I ever use any other finger than my 2nd finger on the G string, because I'm playing G sharp and an open E. And then I reach out to the 4th fret with my 3rd and 4th finger. And then back to the open E, and then I'm back onto my favourite pattern, which is my 2nd, 3rd finger. So we've got one long line all the way up the neck to the 12th fret here. And the easiest way of remembering this is that it's the shape, if you look at it, is 2 sets of notes where you're using the 2nd and 3rd finger, then 2 sets of notes where you're using your 1st and 2nd finger, and then 2 sets of notes using the 2nd and 3rd finger again, and then you're back up to the 12th fret. And just here there's a little bend again. And this one's a bit more tough because you're trying to get that F sharp, so you're trying to bend a tone with the E string. And on the G string, you're just trying to bend a semitone. So the easiest way for me is to just focus on that E string. Oops. And let the 2nd finger go along for the ride. Again, it's over quickly, so if you can, you're just trying to imply it. You don't necessarily have to hit the pitch. Obviously, it'd be good if you can, but you're really just trying to imply the movement. And then the final part is just down an E chord. So I've got a bar C chord shape, if you like, the top 4 strings of that. So, and that's it. As I say, it's a bit of a challenge because you're moving all over the neck, which is why I thought I'd show you this week. But have fun with it and see how you get on. Talk to you next time. Bye bye.